Welcome back to our channel, where we bring you updates and hidden narratives surrounding Catherine, Princess of Wales, and the royal family. We're thrilled to share this latest development. Harry in tears after Princess, and confirms the Saudi dossier is real regarding Meghan's past. According to an insider source, Princess and has acknowledged the existence of a confidential intelligence file from 2016 concerning Meghan Markle. Prince Harry reportedly dismissed the assessment at the time, believing it to be nothing more than family prejudice. Yet the grave warnings contained within it are only now beginning to make sense to him as he lives in self-imposed exile at his Montecito home. Tonight, we reveal what was truly inside that file, why the Princess Royal's vindication signals the collapse of the Sussex dream, and how the truth had been sitting in plain sight all along. The Dossier, the secret report that foresaw the monarchy's greatest crisis. The British monarchy operates under a simple, almost monastic creed: never complain, never explain. It is a vow of institutional omerta that has enabled the crown to withstand storms that would have shattered any other dynasty. But insiders within palace walls now claim that the long-standing silence has finally been broken, and the voice that disrupted it belonged to the Princess Royal, the last royal anyone would expect to seek headlines. From within the guarded world of the royal household came reports of a moment of sobering realization, when a reservoir of tightly guarded secrets burst after nearly a decade of strain. Following the circulation of controversial images linking Meghan Markle to elite Mediterranean social circles prior to meeting Prince Harry, Princess, and reportedly sent a letter to the family, one described as brutally straightforward and heavy with implication. Her words, spoken quietly behind reinforced palace walls, yet now echoing through corridors of global power, were said to be unmistakably clear. The dossier exists. We tried to speak to him. This is the story behind that file, a warning issued, a warning ignored, and consequences that have finally returned. It is the story of a prince who hesitated, unable to accept that the family he believed was paranoid may, in fact, have been right. The arithmetic a Hollywood hustler could not reconcile. To understand the magnitude of today's situation, we must return to the autumn of 2016. As the machinery of the British state quietly moved into motion, Prince Harry, the nation's beloved wayward son, embarked on a whirlwind romance with an American actress. Any commoner seeking to marry into the direct line of succession must undergo a level 3 security screening. Typically, this process is a procedural formality conducted by seasoned officers of the Royalty and Specialist Protection Command, working alongside MI5 and MI6. It is designed to uncover unpaid debts, embarrassing legal entanglements, or undisclosed criminal histories, a necessary but ordinarily routine cleansing process. However, individuals familiar with that review now claim the screening raised immediate red flags within the intelligence community. The dossier presented to senior royals was not merely a profile of a television actress. It reportedly outlined stark, unexplained inconsistencies. Princess, and known for her sharp intellect, disciplined sense of duty, and long-standing connections with Britain's military and security institutions, is said to have been the first senior royal to examine the full file. What she encountered was not framed in terms of race or class. It was a matter of cold arithmetic and national security. The document allegedly included a timeline that defied logic. From 2008 to 2012, Meghan Markle's public narrative portrayed her as a struggling performer. She described herself as a hustler, an actress navigating Hollywood's unforgiving economy. Her documented earnings, verifiable through tax records and union pay stubs, came from minor acting roles, a stint as a briefcase model on a game show, and freelance calligraphy assignments. That profile reflected a life on the edge of financial instability in Los Angeles, worrying about rent, health insurance premiums, and the relentless grind of auditions. Yet the intelligence file, reportedly told an entirely different story. Travel manifests, surveillance data, and financial analysis allegedly showed that this same struggling actress appeared in some of the world's most exclusive and expensive destinations. Reports claim she frequented super yachts valued at tens of millions of dollars and attended elite gatherings in Monaco, Saint-Tropez, and the Middle East. The cost of such access, night after night, would surpass what a working television actor could earn in a year. Princess, and applying the same detached logic she brings to her demanding royal duties, examined what intelligence officials reportedly described as impossible arithmetic, and posed the one question her nephew would not: who paid? In high-level security circles, nothing comes without cost. A summer cruise aboard a billionaire's floating palace is not given freely. Sources who claim familiarity with the dossier say it suggested this was not a matter of mere luck or a handful of glamorous invitations. The pattern was sustained, spanning years and continents, and far too consistent to dismiss. Someone financed the private jet flights. Someone supplied the designer wardrobes. Someone ensured she gained entry into exclusive rooms where the world's most powerful men, financiers, oligarchs, and political power brokers conduct business far from public scrutiny. For an intelligence officer, unexplained wealth and unusual access are classic indicators of a potential security vulnerability. Such patterns suggest that an individual may be financially obligated to unknown benefactors, indebted to foreign entities, or entangled with offshore power networks whose interests may conflict with those of the British state. This was the unsettling beginning of a conflict that would permanently alter the relationship between aunt and nephew. Anne was not evaluating a prospective bride. She was examining a security profile filled with inconsistencies. A princess, a prince, and a breach in the perimeter. What followed was never a public spectacle. Instead, it was described as a cold and silent clash of perspectives that unfolded far from the media's gaze, perhaps at Anne's Gackham Park estate in Gloucestershire. This was not a conversation about etiquette or royal protocol. Princess and the royal, holding the greatest number of honorary military appointments, did not summon her nephew to discuss perceived family prejudice. Her entire life has been defined by service. According to palace insiders, she sat him down to address a single, alarming concern: national security risk. She reportedly laid out the conclusions of the 2016 dossier, the product of extensive vetting by Britain's leading intelligence services. She highlighted terminology used by analysts to describe Meghan's pre-royal life: strategic social placement. Within intelligence circles, that phrase carries weight. It refers to an individual who is methodically positioned within elite social environments, not by coincidence, but by deliberate design. Such individuals are not merely guests. They are assets present in specific rooms for calculated social, relational, or reputational purposes. Anne's warning to Harry was said to be both direct and deeply painful. She allegedly told him that the woman he loved fit a profile security agencies understood all too well. Those operating in such circles, she warned, do not maintain long-term associations out of kindness. They maintain them because those individuals provide value. The implication was stark and frightening. His future wife may have been the beneficiary, if not a participant, in a network of transactional relationships involving powerful and potentially dangerous foreign figures. This was Harry's dilemma, a psychological snare of his own making. Still haunted by his mother's death and what he viewed as relentless media persecution, Harry had developed a powerful hero narrative. He saw Meghan as a graceful outsider under attack by the same ruthless system that had harmed Princess Diana. In his mind, it became his mission to shield her from the press, from the institution, from what he perceived as cold indifference. And so, he could not see the situation clearly. He did not interpret the dossier as protection for himself and the crown. Instead, he saw it as a weapon aimed at his happiness. He believed a woman was being unfairly judged for her past, and meanwhile saw someone shaped by and benefiting from a global shadow marketplace entering the core of the British state. Harry's reaction, by his own later admission, was defensive. He described his family, including his aunt, as cold, elitist, and outdated. He chose to dismiss the travel records and financial analyses. He buried the report. He embraced the narrative of the struggling actress because that story allowed him to be the rescuer. He wanted to be the knight in shining armor. What he never considered was that the damsel's distress might have been a carefully constructed narrative, one designed to reach the deepest parts of his vulnerability, and reportedly cautioned him that by bypassing official scrutiny, he was not acting out of love, he was acting recklessly. He was ignoring the institutional wisdom that had safeguarded the monarchy for centuries and walking directly into a trap. To Harry, her reasoning felt like a personal attack. Now, seated in Montecito, confronted with new images that allegedly mirror details outlined in the 2016 file, he faces what may be the most painful realization of all. Princess, and was not trying to destroy his fairy tale. She was trying to prevent his ruin. The architect of influence. If the Mediterranean yachts represented the stage, intelligence analysts began searching for the director behind the scenes. For years, mainstream portrayals described Marcus Anderson as nothing more than Meghan's close confidant, a charming and globally connected executive associated with Soho House. Yet within the confidential sections of the 2016 vetting assessment, his role was reportedly viewed in a far more calculated light. Sources suggest that Princess and insecurity officials did not consider him merely a friend, but potentially a facilitator. To understand this distinction, one must revisit 2015, the year before Meghan met Prince Harry. Publicly, she was known as a supporting actress on the cable drama Suits. But intelligence observers note that she was present at the grand opening of Soho House Istanbul, an event some have described as a symbolic milestone in her ascent through elite social circles. Istanbul is not merely a city. It is a crossroads of power, wealth, and geopolitical intrigue, positioned both literally and symbolically between East and West. For someone seeking strategic social positioning, there are few locations more significant. It was the final bridge between Hollywood's relative anonymity and the rarefied sphere of global power. It was here, at rooftop gatherings overlooking the Bosphorus, that the connections referenced in the security dossier allegedly reached their height. Those familiar with the event insist that the Soho House Istanbul launch was far more than an extravagant celebration. It was a carefully orchestrated marketplace of influence. As global membership director, Marcus Anderson was responsible for curating that environment. His task was to ensure that emerging personalities and established capital blended seamlessly. The dossier reportedly suggested that within these cultivated surroundings, Meghan was introduced to a select circle of Middle Eastern financiers and Gulf power brokers. In intelligence terms, individuals do not simply wander into such rooms by chance. They are invited because they are perceived to offer value. This reframes the entire origin story of the Sussex romance. The public narrative, repeated countless times, claims the couple met through a blind date in London arranged by a mutual acquaintance. But according to the darker theory outlined in the security file, this was not a spontaneous romantic encounter. It was a strategic placement. The allegation suggests that Marcus Anderson did more than introduce two compatible singles. He allegedly executed the final step of a long-developing plan. A candidate who had spent nearly a decade navigating elite transactional power circles, someone skilled at reading rooms and understanding unspoken hierarchies, was positioned directly in the path of the monarchy's most emotionally vulnerable and symbolically valuable figure, the heir to the throne. This insider's claim is why Harry is said to be stunned now that the dossier's existence has been confirmed. It forces him to confront a painful possibility that the woman he believed he had saved from a ruthless world may have been carefully prepared to captivate him. The qualities he cherished, her attentive listening, her ability to mirror his deepest fears and desires, her composure in high-pressure social settings, were not merely natural traits. According to the Dossier's alleged theory, these were skills refined during years spent within the Mediterranean circuit and cultivated evenings in Istanbul. Princess, and is said to have warned Harry that Anderson represented a bridge between a world of purchased influence and the sanctity of the royal institution. Introducing someone with such entrenched business and social ties into the monarchy's core, she allegedly cautioned, was akin to placing an explosive device within its walls. Harry saw a fairy tale and saw a breach in the perimeter. For some, including Prince Harry in 2016, stories of yacht circuits and elite networking amounted to nothing more than envious palace gossip. But Princess, and reportedly pointed to one specific, verifiable detail within the dossier that transformed whispers into tangible evidence. The proof was not hidden in a classified archive. For years, it has hung visibly from the ears of the Duchess of Sussex. Now we arrive at the Chopard earrings. This is where abstract theory becomes glittering reality. The official account states that the striking chandelier diamonds, reportedly valued at nearly £500,000, were presented as a wedding gift. Yet in the realm of high-stakes diplomacy and intelligence, gifts of that magnitude are never simply gestures of goodwill. The identity of the donor, according to reports, fundamentally disrupts the narrative of the innocent Hollywood outsider. The benefactor was neither a family friend nor an entertainment industry mentor. It was Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, the de facto ruler of Saudi Arabia. Applying the cold logic that Princess, and is believed to have presented in 2016, one question emerges. Why would one of the most powerful and scrutinized figures in global politics gift diamonds worth £500,000 to a former American cable television actress he had never met? Within elite Gulf circles, such lavish gifts are not extended casually to strangers. They are typically reserved for individuals who have been vetted, hosted, and, according to the Dossier's theory, integrated into discrete social networks. Intelligence professionals examining the circumstances of the gift have reportedly observed that it aligns with a highly specific and unsettling pattern, the severance package. When an individual who has long circulated among wealthy elites marries into global prominence, previous benefactors may mark the transition with an extravagant parting gift, a symbolic golden handshake. It serves as an unspoken acknowledgement, gratitude for years of discretion, attendance at invitation-only gatherings, and quiet participation within influential networks. According to the Dossier's alleged interpretation, these earrings represented precisely the return on investment Princess and warned Harry about. They were more than jewels. They symbolized obligations fulfilled and stood as a permanent, dazzling reminder of those who had facilitated her rapid ascent. October 2018 marked the peak of the anxiety that had been steadily building inside Buckingham Palace. During a royal tour of Fiji, Meghan wore the same earrings to a state dinner, just weeks after the brutal killing of journalist Jamal Khashoggi, a murder the CIA and much of the international community attributed to the Saudi crown prince himself. Palace officials were reportedly alarmed. They urged her not to wear the diamonds. The concern was immediate and intense. The optics alone were troubling. But according to reports, Princess and other senior courtiers saw something far more serious than a simple public relations misstep. When Meghan chose to wear those diamonds, despite the crown's guidance and amid a global scandal, it was not merely an act of defiance. It was a statement of allegiance. She believed the gesture revealed that the Saudi connection was not a distant or insignificant chapter from the past. Instead, it appeared to be an ongoing and tangible association, one Meghan was willing to display publicly while serving as a member of the British royal family. Meghan reportedly told Harry she had simply borrowed the earrings. Princess Anne, however, having reviewed travel manifests, Mediterranean records, and connections tied to Istanbul, viewed the diamonds differently. To her, they represented the missing link between the struggling actress of 2012 and the Duchess of 2018. They were the thread connecting both identities. In Anne's assessment, the network had not vanished once Meghan met Harry. It had followed her all the way to the gates of the palace. Montecito, the moment of anagnorisis. Anagnorisis is a term from ancient Greek tragedy. It describes the pivotal instant when a protagonist recognizes the devastating, unfiltered truth about their life and the choices that led to their downfall. It is said that Prince Harry, now living in the sunlit seclusion of Montecito, may be experiencing that very moment. The confirmation that the dossier exists, that Anne's warnings were grounded in fact rather than fabrication, has reportedly shaken the foundation upon which he rebuilt his life after leaving the royal family. Some claim the realization has been paralyzing. The woman for whom he sacrificed everything may never have needed rescuing at all. Perhaps she was never the naive outsider she portrayed herself to be. While Harry worried about whether she would master the royal curtsy, Meghan had allegedly spent years navigating far more complex and perilous social hierarchies than any tea reception at Buckingham Palace. If the intelligence narrative holds true, then she had long since mastered elite systems of power. For someone capable of maneuvering within the high-stakes world of Mediterranean super yachts and Gulf power brokers, the traditions of British aristocracy would hardly present an insurmountable challenge. And Harry, in that version of events, was the only one unaware. He must now confront the unsettling possibility that the fragility and innocence he sought to protect were, in fact, performances. It recasts his confrontation with Princess, and in a tragic new light. He remembers her words at Gatcombe Park. He recalls her pointing to evidence, urging caution. At the time, he labeled her prejudiced. In his memoir, he described his family as cold and unfeeling villains who rejected his one true love. But when he finally examines the evidence with clarity, he is left to swallow the most difficult truth of all. Anne was right. The silence from the Sussex camp in response to these renewed allegations, many observers note, speaks volumes. When the couple feels under attack, their formidable public relations and legal teams typically respond within hours. Allies close to them often flood the media with counter-narratives, issuing firm denials across television and radio. Yet in this moment, there is only silence, a silence that feels deliberate and heavy. Harry now finds himself facing the most painful dilemma a prince could endure. He has cut every tie to London he publicly portrayed, and William, and even his father, King Charles, the very people who allegedly possessed the information that might have protected him, as cold and malicious figures. But a new realization appears to be settling in. He was not the revolutionary hero escaping a gilded cage. Instead, he may have been a strategically positioned piece in a carefully executed corporate design, one orchestrated over a decade by unseen handlers and supported by the same global elite he and his wife now openly criticize. He believed he was the love of her life. Yet, according to the file's narrative, he may simply have been the most effective vehicle for her final ascent. The rescuer becomes the casualty, and the Anne he once dismissed so harshly now stands vindicated by the steady passage of time, and by truth. You can ignore a warning in the moment, but the lesson it carries may follow you forever. Thank you for watching. Share your thoughts below, and goodbye for now.